Good morning and welcome to the Forex Daily Update, brought to you by Pepperstone on Friday the 30th of November 2018. I'm Darren Sinden and you can follow me throughout the day on Twitter by using @ds_Pepperstone. Okay, let's take a look at the overnight changes and price moves to be aware of. And it was a pretty quiet session yesterday on the world's global foreign exchanges. I think that's fair to say. But we have had some moves of note across the course of this week. And as this is the penultimate trading day, or rather the ultimate trading day of November, it might be worth taking a look at those. So euro dollar 113.92 trading shortly before we recorded the video. Weekly gains there for the euro against the US currency by 0.47%. The pound sterling trading against the US dollar at 127.86 earlier this morning, down by around 0.05% on the day and 0.2% across the course of the week. It's probably a better performance than might have been anticipated from the British pound, given the poor headlines and economic data that's bandied about this week about Brexit. There have been gains as well for the Australian and New Zealand dollars against the US dollar. The Aussie adding over 1.14% over the course of the week to date, and the New Zealand dollar gaining by 1.25% against its US counterpart. So push back there from Australasia. Dollar index for its part starting the final day of November at 96.77. It of course did spike well above 97 early in the week, but we've come back below that key number. It just doesn't feel comfortable up there or look comfortable above 97. Will we finish the week on a flourish, or will we drift? Of course, most eyes will be turning towards Buenos Aires over the course of today and the weekend for the G20 summit, and more on that in a moment. Okay, what's on the calendar then? Events that may move the markets today. Well, as we said, the G20 meeting gets underway, and we'll have a bit more about that in due course. We've had, in terms of data this morning, MBS Manufacturing PMI data out of China for November, and what a well, frankly, worrying set of data that was. We'll come on to that momentarily, but you can see the figure there for the manufacturing sector, just a read of 50. In terms of data to come, at 7 a.m. we'll have had retail sales data out of Germany for the month of October, and that'll be followed at 8 a.m. by the KOF Swiss leading indicators for the month of November. 9 o'clock GMT will see the release of unemployment data out of Italy for October, and then an hour later at 10 a.m. we shall have unemployment for the whole of the Eurozone for the month of October as well. And at the same time, ECB Council member Mersch will be speaking in the first of the day's central banker outings. We'll have consumer price index for November, both core and non-core data for year on year, and that's out of the Eurozone as a whole, and that'll be very interesting to see how inflation is performing there. And then at 11 a.m. some more data from Italy in the shape of gross domestic product for the third quarter, a chance to see just how well or otherwise the Italian economy, rather I should say, has been performing compared to some of its European peers. At 13:30 we'll cross over the Atlantic for GDP data on an annualized basis for the third quarter out of Canada. And then at 1400, the second of the day's central banker speeches, this one from FOMC member Esther Williams. And at 14:45, we shall have the influential Chicago Purchasing Managers Index data for November out of the USA. Okay, breaking news and comment then that's caught my eye overnight. And first of all, China's November manufacturing PMIs fell to the contraction boundary of 50, data showed this morning, and below forecasts of 50.2, raising hopes of fresh economic stimulus from the Beijing government. Remember that if we see manufacturing PMI slip below 50, it would show that it was in contraction. As it is now, manufacturing in China is neither growing nor contracting, but it will scare a few people to see a number pinned as low as that. There was mixed data from Japan, meanwhile, with industrial production in October rising by 2.9% versus a minus 0.4% fall in the figures in September. However, consumer confidence fell to its lowest level for 2 years in November, with a read of 42.9 versus forecast for a figure of 43.3. So a very mixed bag for the Japanese data today. As we've already said, world leaders will gather in Buenos Aires from today for the G20. Presidents Trump and Xi Jinping of China are to have dinner on Saturday evening, and of course the question is, can they resolve their differences over trade? Okay, something to take away into the trading day now from food for thought. Why not think about this? Trade issues will dominate the G20 this weekend. OECD data showed that only weak growth had taken place in G20 trade during the third quarter of this year. Exports grew by 0.3%, whilst imports grew by a slightly improved 0.7%. Meanwhile, global PMIs have declined for much of 2018, and so there is plenty at stake over the course of this weekend. Here are some of the data from the OECD, charts of exports and import values and variations therein. And the second chart is a plot of the JP Morgan Global Composite PMI over the course of the last 2 years, and you can see the trend as growth throughout 2017 and then a peak at the early part of 2018 and a downward move since then. Okay, please take a moment to read this warning. Trading CFDs and foreign exchange on margin can be a risky business. If you're in any doubt about those risks or the suitability of leveraged products for you, then please do contact your Pepperstone account representative, and please do take the time to read this risk warning thoroughly. Thank you for your time.